Ridgway, Colorado, August 15, 1969. The rugged San Juan Mountains provide a breathtaking backdrop for the filming of True Grit, but John Wayne's attention is focused on an unexpected visitor who has just walked onto the set. James McKinley, 94 years old, and moving slowly with the aid of a carved wooden cane, approaches the area where Wayne stands in full Rooster Cogburn costume. McKinley's weathered face carries the marks of a hard life lived in service to justice, and his eyes hold the clarity of someone who has seen both the best and worst of humanity. What happens in the next 2 hours will transform Wayne's understanding of the character he's playing and remind everyone present that sometimes the line between fiction and history is thinner than we imagine. The True Grit production has been filming in Colorado for 6 weeks, using the state's dramatic landscapes to recreate the Arkansas and Indian Territory settings of Charles Portis's novel. Wayne, at 62, has thrown himself into the role of Rooster Cogburn with characteristic intensity, seeing the one-eyed U.S. Marshal as potentially his greatest performance. The character's complexity, a man whose rough exterior conceals deep principles and unexpected tenderness, appeals to Wayne's understanding of American masculinity and moral courage. But Wayne has been struggling with certain aspects of Cogburn's characterization. How does a man maintain his humanity while doing such brutal work? How does someone preserve a sense of justice in a world where violence often seems like the only language people understand? These are questions Wayne has been wrestling with throughout filming, trying to find the emotional truth beneath Cogburn's bluster and bravado. James McKinley represents an answer Wayne never expected to receive. McKinley's journey to the True Grit set began 3 months earlier when his great-granddaughter Susan mentioned that John Wayne was making a movie about a U.S. Marshal. McKinley's reaction surprised the family. Instead of dismissing Hollywood's typical inaccuracies about frontier law enforcement, he expressed genuine interest in seeing how Wayne would portray the work McKinley knew from personal experience. "I rode with men like that Cogburn fellow," McKinley told Susan. "If they're making a picture about U.S. Marshals, maybe I ought to see how close they get to the truth." Susan, a school teacher in Denver who had grown up hearing her great-grandfather's stories about his law enforcement career, was intrigued by his interest. McKinley rarely spoke about his past, and when he did, his accounts were usually prompted by family questions rather than voluntary storytelling. His desire to see Wayne's film represented an unusual openness about a part of his life he typically kept private. McKinley's credentials for evaluating Wayne's performance are impeccable. From 1878 to 1894, he served as a deputy U.S. Marshal, working out of Fort Smith, Arkansas, under the jurisdiction of the legendary hanging Judge Isaac C. Parker. McKinley arrested over 300 fugitives during his 16-year career, ranging from horse thieves and bootleggers to murderers and men who fled to Indian Territory, believing they could escape federal law. More relevantly, McKinley worked alongside some of the real-life inspirations for fictional characters like Rooster Cogburn. The authentic deputy marshals of Parker's court were men who operated in a legal gray area where survival often depended on making split-second decisions about who deserved mercy and who represented a threat that could only be stopped with violence. McKinley retired from federal service in 1894 when age and injuries made the physical demands of the job too difficult to sustain. He had been shot twice, stabbed once, and thrown from horses more times than he could count. But he had also helped establish federal law in regions where local authorities were either corrupt or simply non-existent, making it possible for communities to develop the stable foundations necessary for civilization to flourish. For 75 years since his retirement, McKinley has watched Hollywood's attempts to portray frontier law enforcement with increasing frustration. The Marshals in most Western movies bear little resemblance to the men McKinley knew and worked with. They're either impossibly heroic figures who never show fear or weakness, or crude stereotypes who solve every problem with gunfire and swagger. But something about the early publicity for True Grit suggests to McKinley that this film might be different. Wayne's reputation for taking his roles seriously, combined with the novel's more realistic portrayal of frontier justice, gives McKinley hope that someone might finally get the details right. Susan arranges for McKinley to visit the Colorado filming location, driving him from Denver in her car and helping him navigate the rocky terrain around the movie set. The journey is physically challenging for someone McKinley's age, but his determination to see Wayne's interpretation of frontier law enforcement outweighs any discomfort. When McKinley arrives on set, he immediately draws attention from cast and crew members who are struck by his authentic presence. Unlike the actors in period costumes, McKinley carries himself with the natural authority of someone who actually lived through the era the film is trying to recreate. His clothing, while modern, has a timeless quality that seems to bridge the gap between 1969 and the 1880s. Wayne notices McKinley during a break between takes, initially assuming he's a local rancher or perhaps a film buff who has come to watch the shooting. But something about the old man's posture and the way he observes the proceedings suggests a deeper connection to the material than simple curiosity. During the lunch break, Susan approaches Wayne to introduce her great-grandfather, explaining McKinley's background and his interest in seeing how Hollywood portrays U.S. Marshals. Wayne's reaction is immediate and respectful. He recognizes that he's meeting someone with authentic knowledge of the world he's trying to recreate on screen. "Mr. McKinley," Wayne says, extending his hand, "it's an honor to meet you. I'd very much like to hear what you think of what we're doing here." McKinley's response reveals both his direct communication style and his deep understanding of the difference between Hollywood performance and historical reality. "Son, I've been watching you work, and you're doing something right. You move like a man who's been in tight places and knows how to get out of them. Have you ever met someone whose life experiences made your own seem small by comparison? Sometimes authenticity is so powerful that it changes how everyone around it understands truth and performance." The conversation that follows becomes the most important acting lesson Wayne ever receives, though it takes place entirely off-camera and away from the formal structure of film education. McKinley begins sharing memories and insights about frontier law enforcement that illuminate aspects of Cogburn's character Wayne has been struggling to understand. "The men I rode with weren't heroes," McKinley explains as cast and crew members gradually gather around to listen. "We were just fellows doing a job that needed doing. Most of us were scared most of the time, but we learned not to let the fear stop us from doing what was right." McKinley describes the daily reality of marshal work, the long rides through dangerous territory, the constant awareness that violence could erupt without warning, the responsibility of representing federal authority in places where local law was either corrupt or non-existent. But he also talks about the quieter aspects of the job, mediating disputes, protecting witnesses, ensuring that prisoners received fair treatment despite the crimes they had committed. The badge made you responsible for everyone, McKinley continues, not just to the good folks, but the bad ones too. You couldn't let personal feelings decide how you treated people. The law was the law, and you were there to enforce it fairly, even when fairness seemed like the last thing some people deserved. Wayne listens with complete attention, recognizing that McKinley is providing insights into Cogburn's psychology that no script analysis or directorial guidance could match. The old Marshal stories illuminate the moral complexity of frontier justice, the constant tension between mercy and necessity, between individual judgment and institutional responsibility. But McKinley's most powerful contribution comes when he begins describing specific incidents from his career, stories that reveal the emotional cost of doing martial work with integrity and humanity. His accounts are not dramatic adventure tales, but quiet narratives about difficult decisions made under pressure and their long-term consequences for everyone involved. One story particularly affects Wayne and the listening crew members. McKinley describes pursuing a horse thief into Indian Territory in 1883, tracking the man for 3 days through difficult terrain. When McKinley finally cornered the fugitive, he discovered that the thief was a teenager whose family was starving and who had stolen the horse to trade for food. I had 2 choices, McKinley explains. Arrest him and send him to federal prison, which would have destroyed his family, or find another way to handle the situation. The law said, arrest him, but justice said, help him figure out a better way to feed his people. McKinley's solution involved returning the horse to its owner while arranging for the teenager to work off the debt through legitimate labor. The arrangement required McKinley to take personal responsibility for the young man's behavior and to vouch for his character with both the horse's owner and the local community. That boy grew up to become a preacher, McKinley concludes. Had 3 children, served his community for 40 years. If I'd just followed the letter of the law, none of that would have happened. Sometimes a marshal's job is knowing when to bend the rules in service of a higher justice. Wayne realizes that McKinley has just described the emotional core of Rooster Cogburn's character, the tension between official duty and personal conscience that drives the Marshal's seemingly contradictory behavior throughout True Grit. Cogburn's gruffness and apparent cynicism mask a deep commitment to protecting people who can't protect themselves, even when that protection requires bending or breaking official protocols. The filming day continues, but Wayne's performance in the afternoon takes on new depth and authenticity. He incorporates McKinley's insights into Cogburn's physicality and line delivery, finding ways to suggest the character's underlying humanity without sacrificing his intimidating presence. The crew notices the difference immediately. Wayne has found something in the character that wasn't there before. But the most powerful moment comes when filming wraps for the day, and Wayne approaches McKinley privately to express his gratitude. What happens next moves both men to tears and provides everyone present with a lesson about the relationship between authenticity and performance. Mr. McKinley, Wayne says, I want to thank you for what you've shared today. You've helped me understand this character in ways I never could have discovered on my own." McKinley's response reveals the generous spirit that guided his approach to law enforcement and continues to shape his interactions with others. "Son, you're not just playing a character, you're keeping alive the memory of men who did important work that most people never understood, that matters more than you know." Then McKinley adds something that transforms Wayne's understanding of his responsibility as an actor. "Most of the men I rode with are gone now, and their stories died with them. But when people watch your picture, they'll see something true about what those marshals were like. That's not just entertainment, that's preserving history." Wayne is visibly moved by McKinley's words, recognizing that his performance carries a responsibility beyond simple entertainment. He's not just creating a character, but serving as a bridge between a lost world and contemporary audiences who have no other way to understand the realities of frontier justice. "I hope I can honor their memory," Wayne responds. McKinley's final comment becomes the emotional climax of their interaction. "You're not just honoring their memory, son, you're continuing their work. Those marshals protected people by standing between them and danger. You're protecting their legacy by standing between them and being forgotten." The exchange affects everyone who witnesses it, including crew members who later describe it as one of the most moving moments they experienced during the filming. Here are two men separated by decades and different life experiences, finding common ground in their shared commitment to serving something larger than themselves. Director Henry Hathaway, who has been observing the interaction, approaches Wayne after McKinley returns to his car with Susan. "Duke, I've never seen you connect with a character the way you did this afternoon. Whatever that old man told you, it transformed your performance." Wayne's response reflects his new understanding of Cogburn's significance. "He didn't just tell me about the character Henry, he showed me what the character represents. Cogburn isn't just a tough guy with a badge, he's the last link to a time when individual integrity was the only thing standing between civilization and chaos." The impact of McKinley's visit extends beyond Wayne's performance to influence the entire production's approach to authenticity. Hathaway begins incorporating McKinley's insights into his direction, encouraging other actors to consider the historical reality behind their characters' actions and motivations. Kim Darby, who plays Matty Ross, spends time with McKinley discussing how frontier families dealt with loss and the pursuit of justice. Glenn Campbell, in his acting debut as LaBeouf, learns about the rivalry between different law enforcement agencies and how those tensions affected the men who worked within competing systems. But McKinley's influence extends beyond technical accuracy to touch the emotional heart of what True Grit is trying to accomplish. His stories reveal that frontier justice was not about individual heroism or dramatic showdowns, but about ordinary people making difficult moral choices under extraordinary circumstances. This understanding reshapes the film's approach to violence and conflict. Instead of treating gunfights as exciting action sequences, the production begins to frame them as tragic necessities, moments when other forms of resolution have failed, and violence becomes the only way to protect innocent people from those who would harm them. McKinley visits the set 3 more times during the remaining weeks of Colorado filming, each time sharing new stories and insights that help the cast and crew understand the historical context of their work. His presence becomes a touchstone for authenticity. a reminder that the events they're dramatizing emerged from real experiences of real people who faced genuine dangers in service of their communities. One of McKinley's most powerful contributions comes when he demonstrates how frontier marshals actually handled their weapons. Unlike the quick-draw artists portrayed in most westerns, real marshals were trained to avoid gunfights whenever possible and to end them quickly and decisively when avoidance wasn't an option. Speed wasn't as important as accuracy. McKinley explains, while handling Wayne's prop gun with the easy familiarity of someone who carried similar weapons for 16 years. Most of the marshals I knew weren't particularly fast draws, but they were very good shots who didn't waste ammunition and didn't take unnecessary chances. McKinley's weapon demonstration influences Wayne's approach to the film's action sequences, encouraging him to portray Cogburn as someone who uses violence reluctantly but effectively when other options are exhausted. This approach adds moral weight to the character's decisions and helps audiences understand that frontier justice was about protecting people, not satisfying personal vendettas. The relationship between Wayne and McKinley develops into genuine friendship based on mutual respect and shared values. Wayne recognizes McKinley as a living link to the frontier era he has spent his career portraying, while McKinley sees Wayne as someone committed to honoring the memory of men whose contributions to American history have often been forgotten or misunderstood. Their conversations range beyond law enforcement to touch on broader themes of duty, courage, and the responsibility that comes with representing institutions larger than oneself. McKinley's perspectives on these topics help Wayne understand that Cogburn's apparent cynicism masks a deep idealism. The Marshal believes in justice, even when experience has taught him that justice is often difficult to achieve and even harder to maintain. When filming wraps in Colorado, McKinley attends the cast and crew's farewell dinner, where he becomes the evening's honored guest. His informal remarks about his law enforcement career and his observations about the film production provide everyone present with insights into both frontier history and the relationship between authentic experience and artistic representation. You folks are doing something important, McKinley tells the assembled group. Most people today don't understand what this country was like when there weren't any rules except the ones decent people made for themselves. The Marshals and the people they protected weren't perfect, but they were trying to build something better than what came before. When you tell their stories, you're keeping alive the idea that individual integrity matters, even when, especially when, nobody's watching. McKinley's words resonate with the cast and crew because they frame their work in terms of larger purpose beyond entertainment or profit. They're not just making a movie, but preserving cultural memory and honoring the contributions of people whose sacrifices made contemporary life possible. Wayne is particularly affected by McKinley's perspective, recognizing that his responsibility extends beyond creating an entertaining character to serving as a bridge between past and present. This understanding influences not only his performance in True Grit, but his approach to subsequent Western roles, as he begins to see himself as a custodian of historical memory, rather than just a movie star. The influence of McKinley's visit becomes apparent when True Grit is released in 1969. and critics praise Wayne's performance as his most nuanced and emotionally complex work in years. Many reviews note the authentic feel of Wayne's portrayal, the way he suggests layers of experience and moral complexity beneath Cogburn's rough exterior. What critics don't know is that Wayne's performance is informed by hours of conversation with someone who lived the experiences Cogburn represents. McKinley's stories and insights provided Wayne with emotional and psychological details that no amount of script analysis or character research could have revealed. The film becomes Wayne's biggest commercial success and earns him his only Academy Award for Best Actor, recognition that comes largely because of the depth and authenticity he brings to Cogburn's character. In his acceptance speech, Wayne thanks numerous people who contributed to his performance, but he doesn't mention McKinley by name. Partly to protect the old man's privacy, but also because Wayne recognizes that some gifts are too profound to be acknowledged in public forums. However, Wayne does find ways to honor McKinley's contribution. He arranges for the old Marshal to receive a private screening of the finished film and invites him to attend the Hollywood premiere as Wayne's personal guest. McKinley, now 95 and increasingly frail, declines the premiere invitation, but accepts the private screening, watching the film with family members who hear him laugh and comment throughout the viewing. McKinley's verdict on Wayne's performance becomes family legend. He got it right. When I watch him up there, I see the men I rode with. He understood that being a marshal wasn't about being tough. It was about being responsible. James McKinley dies peacefully in January 1971, 18 months after his visit to the True Grit set. His obituary in the Denver Post mentions his law enforcement career and his role as one of the last surviving deputy marshals from Judge Parker's court, but it doesn't reference his contribution to one of Hollywood's most celebrated Western performances. Wayne attends McKinley's funeral, making the trip from California to Colorado despite a demanding filming schedule. He speaks briefly at the service, describing McKinley as a man who lived the values that most of us only get to play on screen, and crediting him with helping to make True Grit authentic in ways that went far beyond costume and set design. But Wayne's most meaningful tribute to McKinley comes through his subsequent career choices and performance approach. Influenced by his conversations with the old Marshal, Wayne becomes increasingly selective about Western roles, choosing projects that explore the moral complexity of frontier life, rather than simply celebrating violence or individual heroism. Films like The Cowboys, 1972, and The Shootist, 1976, reflect Wayne's evolved understanding of what Western stories can accomplish when they're grounded in authentic human experience rather than romantic mythology. These performances carry the influence of McKinley's insights about duty, responsibility, and the cost of protecting others. When Wayne dies in 1979, his family discovers among his personal papers a folder containing notes from his conversations with McKinley. The handwritten pages reveal Wayne's deep respect for the old Marshal and his recognition that their meeting represented a turning point in his understanding of his craft and his responsibility as an interpreter of American history. One note, apparently written shortly after McKinley's visit to the set, captures the impact of their interaction. Met a real Marshal today, 94 years old. He made me understand that Cogburn isn't just a character, he's a representative of men who did necessary work under impossible circumstances. My job is to show people what that kind of courage and integrity actually looked like, not just what makes for good entertainment. Another note, written after McKinley's death, reflects Wayne's ongoing sense of obligation to honor the old Marshal's memory. Jim McKinley taught me that actors have a responsibility to the real people behind the characters they play. When I put on Cogburn's badge, I'm not just wearing a costume, I'm carrying the legacy of men who risked everything to protect people they didn't even know. That's not something you can take lightly. The folder also contains copies of letters Wayne wrote to McKinley's family after the old Marshal's death, expressing his gratitude for McKinley's contribution to his performance and his understanding of frontier history. These letters reveal the depth of Wayne's respect for McKinley and his recognition that their meeting had changed not just his approach to acting, but his understanding of what it means to serve something larger than oneself. Today, film scholars studying Wayne's career recognize True Grit as a watershed moment when the actor moved beyond simple heroic archetypes to create a character with genuine psychological complexity and emotional depth. They attribute this evolution to Wayne's maturity as a performer and his growing understanding of the Western genre's potential for serious dramatic exploration. What these scholars don't fully appreciate is the role that James McKinley played in Wayne's transformation. The 94-year-old Marshal's stories and insights provided Wayne with a foundation of authentic experience that elevated his performance from skilled impersonation to genuine representation of historical reality. McKinley's contribution to True Grit represents something unique in Hollywood history, a moment when authentic experience directly informed fictional representation, creating art that honors both entertainment value and historical truth. The old Marshal's generosity in sharing his memories and insights helped create one of American cinema's most celebrated performances, while preserving the legacy of men whose contributions to national development have often been forgotten. The meeting between Wayne and McKinley also illustrates the power of intergenerational connection and the importance of preserving historical memory through personal storytelling. McKinley's willingness to share his experiences ensured that the realities of frontier law enforcement would be represented authentically in a film seen by millions of people worldwide. Perhaps most importantly, their interaction demonstrates that authenticity and entertainment need not be mutually exclusive. McKinley's insights enhanced rather than constrained Wayne's performance, proving that artistic truth becomes more powerful, not less, when it's grounded in genuine human experience. The legacy of McKinley's visit to the True Grit set continues to influence how filmmakers approach historical material and how actors prepare for roles that represent real-world experiences. The old Marshal's example reminds contemporary artists that their responsibility extends beyond entertainment to include faithful representation of the people and experiences that inspire their work. Sometimes the most important lessons come from unexpected teachers. James McKinley never intended to become an acting coach or historical consultant. He was simply an old man who wanted to see if Hollywood could get the details right. But his willingness to share his authentic experiences with Wayne and the True Grit cast and crew created one of the most genuine and moving performances in American cinema history. The 94-year-old Marshal, who walked onto a movie set in 1969, carrying memories of the frontier era, helped create art that continues to honor the memory of men who served justice in impossible circumstances. His contribution reminds us that sometimes the most powerful performances emerge not from imagination or technique, but from genuine connection to the human experiences that fiction seeks to represent. And unfortunately, they don't make men like James McKinley anymore, or John Wayne for that matter, men who understand that preserving history is a sacred responsibility, that authentic experience has value beyond personal satisfaction, and that sometimes the most important gifts we can give are the stories we share with those who will carry them forward long after we're gone.